no more heroes. It's hero begin to catch a nobody but yourself. Nothing less to do.
Travis, it's kill or be killed.
Ow!
Today is the boot camp for Tekken 8. So what that is just Niato-san and I had the idea to just come in, give a couple foundational guides for getting into Tekken 8 because it's honestly the most accessible Tekken has ever been. It's crossplay, has a whole arcade quest mode for a lot of beginners, and oh my. Blue, thank you so much. You know, we wanted to give back to the community just like everybody's constantly giving back to us. And since we both love fighting games, we want as many people to hop in as easily as possible. This is one of the best things to do. If you're someone who loves fighting games, wants more people to get in them, helping other people get into them is one of the best things you can do. So I think this is a big thing. But to make it easier, we'll just give you guys an outline of what we're going to discuss today, just so anybody viewing the VOD later, or if this later makes it into a video, we can skip around and do different sections, because it is a lot. I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat it and just lie and say like, oh yeah, you know, it's just super easy. We're just gonna lay it out and you'll be able to play with all these systems, all these things, all these ideas in your head immediately. Like, no, it can take a bit of time to digest the information and then even longer to process it and put it into a match. But like I said, again, that all depends on your goals and what you want to do as a player. This is just a foundation to build off of, just so people hopping into the game aren't completely lost and don't sit here running around not knowing what to do, not knowing what certain system mechanics in the game are, and just give people different ideas of what playing the game is actually like. We're starting with the first and foremost, the basics, notation, and then from notation we'll be going around to like basic movement, attack and defense, unique attacks because Tekken is known for this, guard crushes, unblockable, stuff like that, throws, unbreakable throws because those require their own different section, universal states, getting off the ground because some people don't know how to stand up in this game, and that can be a very big thing in the higher ranks, stances, recoverable health, the heat system like as I mentioned before, frame data,
1 hour later,
frame advantage, strings, jailing strings, combos, the wall system, stage hazards, and then just a few suggestions and tools if you're a beginner getting into the game, just to be like the most important parts of it, which one of those is just having fun with the game you spent money on, because no one wants to buy something that no one wants to spend money on something and then feel obligated to play something that they don't enjoy.
So what we're going to start off with first is, of course, like basic notation. Oh, wait a minute. I haven't seen this one.
This is new.
Okay. Okay. So what we're going to start about first is with one. Whenever you hear like 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're essentially learning about the different buttons that you use. So 1 is left punch.
J.Deep says, oh my
2
dear
is right
FGC
punch.
Big Chocolate Warrior,
3 is
my
left
strongest
kick.
desire is for you to master
4
me on
is
every
right
skill
kick.
level
And
possible.
each
Move me,
blade will be a little
touch
bit
me,
different per
make
character.
me
They won't
yours,
be the same
something
kind
to
of
call your own.
look for like a
Oh Lord, what's up, Jay? I realized I wasn't wearing my actual heart rate monitor,
the case there.
but I appreciate you popping in.
WR, which are while running,
Lord.
or while rising. So if you're from a crouch stance and then you rise up, that's while rising. Yeah. While standing is pretty much you just being right here like this. You're just standing up. So if you see anything that says while standing 1+2 or 1, 2, that's pretty much how it looks. FC will be your full crouch. So if you're ducked like this, it will be a full crouch. So you have move sets from your full crouch as well as your while standing. Then sidestep is of course SS. So 1 tap is pretty much a sidestep, and SSR is a sidestep right, and SSL is a sidestep left. Going from there, back turn is a move that's kind of different per character. Not everyone necessarily has an immediate back turn, but there are characters that might have moves from a back turn. So it just depends on like who your character is.
Well, one thing I want to touch on, when you say sidestep right and sidestep left, most people don't know which character people mean when they say that, it's in relation to your character. So for instance, Nia, his sidestep right would be towards the screen, since Jun is facing, that's her right. But for me, my right would be, oh well, now mine would be away from the screen, this way. So your character's left or your character's right is what people mean when they say sidestep left, sidestep right.
Final round.
But yeah.
Fight.
And then IWR is instant while running. Now that one, I don't really hear many people say it like that. We just say just running, and it'll usually be more so like a running animation. So like this is just like pretty much your instant while running.
So yeah, so what people normally mean when they like also do that too is if you're playing characters like Dragunov, they have certain while running attacks that can be done very quickly if you triple tap forward very quickly and press a button. So for his, you guys might have seen it, it's like a running attack where he throws his elbow out and stuff like that. That would be his instant while running. I'll switch over and show you guys more of that as well after we get done with this match, just so you guys what we mean. But yeah, certain attacks like that where if you double tap forward 3 times, you can do it instantly, very quickly.
And you can always stop it by pressing back. So don't ever think that when you do it, you can it's just going to constantly be like you going and then you just stop. Just press back and you'll immediately stop that animation. And sometimes that will help, and it'll put you in a guard state when you do it as well. And we'll kind of explain a little bit more of that as the time we go as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you look at the move list, you might see a star. The star is essentially like starting to talk about things like you being in neutral, or they might say in. You don't really have many characters that have that. There are a few that can do have that in their move list because of the way how certain moves work. I can showcase that with Lily here. You'll learn about characters have things called like missteps or like special animation kind of steps.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the premise of like how that will work going from there. So it just really kind of depends. For some of them, that movement essentially opens up new moves that they can do and things such as that. So it kind of is like a learning process of learning how to do that misstep properly, as well as learning the moves for it. And so looking at like neutral moves, it'll be things like with certain characters, if you don't do them right, you might do a low move, but if you do it right, damn, if I can do it right. Hold on.
Which one are you trying to do?
It's damn. For some reason, I can't do it. For some reason, it's fucking up. Oh, there we go. That one. So that one is based from like her move that she does. And it just, for some reason, I can't fucking get it right. There we go.
Oh, okay.
And so that's pretty much used for like closing in for a lot of characters. So it honestly just really depends on how you do it. They could have a different kind of extension from it. For Lily, she has a 2-1, so it's her right punch, left punch. It has a different animation, and she also has a left kick one. So it kind of just depends on what you want to do.
So another thing we wanted to touch too is like when people say down forward, that just means you're holding down and left at the same time if you're facing right. And for Nia's side of the screen, it would be down and right.
Also, let's kind of go over now a basic movement. So we of course already said about the crouch forward. You don't really have a crouch back, but crouch back will put you in a guard state, so you'll be blocking low pretty much all the time, like this.
That's a minute, my bad.
No, you're fine. And then also going backwards is also a block. When you're standing at neutral, you're always in a block, but certain things won't necessarily block all the time. So what you want to start doing is you want to start holding back when you're like guarding attacks. That way you at least at the very much can always guard those other moves. And then you just throw in something here and there when you're guarding. Then there's dashing forward, which is a double tap forward. That's not necessarily the run. but it's just pretty much going that way, or dash backwards, which is double tapping your back button for. So if I'm on the left side, it will be my left button. If you're on the right side, it'll be your right button. So whatever you use, whether you're on gamepad, hitbox, whatever, it's pretty much that way to kind of show it off and go from there.
So an easy way to like keep in mind if you want to step properly, press and don't hold. Just tap it. Tap it as lightly as possible and don't hold the button. If you hold the button, you might put yourself in crouch. If you hold down, if you hold up, you might end up jumping on accident. If you've been in a match and you see somebody like randomly stepping like wildly like this, they're moving, and then all of a sudden you see this, you see like them teabag real quick. They tried to sidestep and maybe they might have gotten that input error from pressing the button too much like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, double tapping forward, double tapping backwards, tap once to the left, tap once to the right, and then if you want to keep walking, tap then hold.
Hold.
Remember, it's a light tap.
Okay.
You're good.
Also, to explain what I'm doing, this is a backflip. Not every character has a backflip. A lot of the females do, and some males have access to a backflip or something that is equivalent to like a back step. It just depends, and you'll see it maybe either in their move list as something that's like a movement tech. For Elisa, this is her backflip. For other ladies, you'll see them, it'll be like a handstand backflip. So it just kind of depends on what it is.
Another thing too, just to brush over this again, like we said before, if you just hold the button and don't move first, you'll just jump if you hold up. If you hold down, you'll just crouch. A good thing to keep in mind too is when you're sidestepping, if you're sidestepping without holding back, you cannot block. So for instance, if Nia's just sidestepping like this, and I decide to launch him, or I wait for his side walk, and I press, but if you're to sidestep and then block, or if he'll block like that and I won't be able to hit him.
Yeah, and that's when you're gonna have to learn about maybe like properly sidestepping. If they're doing a right punch and you sidestep on left, it might not work right.
Yeah, and also a person can wait out your sidewalk. So if you're constantly walking and think you're just gonna miss, if they just wait to realign with you or move over, they can catch you again. So it won't always work, but it is a good habit to instill, no matter how long you've been playing the game.
Gotcha, Kusama. But yeah, and so kind of going from there, it's really about learning about like, again, like more of your attacking your defense patterns, which is what we'll kind of go over here. Now this one, it can be a little bit of a learning curve for some people, because sometimes you'll see moves that look like highs or look like lows, and they are like maybe mids and things like that. So it's like, this is something that you're going to learn as time goes on, but you're going to learn more so about attack and defense now. So we're going to show that off and kind of go from there to kind of explain that as best as possible.
Also, another thing too is you can also be hit while backdashing. So if you've ever been backdashing, you're like, I'm holding back, why'd I get smacked? There's a bit of a lag between your character stepping back and actually being able to block. Like if you're just walking backwards, it won't hit. Like if Nia walks backwards while blocking, I won't be able to hit him. But try backdashing, like, I'll be able to hit him like that. So yeah, that is something to keep in mind. You want to go over attack and defense?
Yes, we can do that now.
Okay.
You'll pretty much learn the things about like highs, lows, mids. What I'm doing is I am pressing 4, which is Xiaoyu's right kick, which is a high. Highs can be beaten either by blocking or crouching, as you see what Max is doing right now. He's crouching, and they can be usually pretty fast, and on block they're pretty safe. But if they're crouching, they can also be punished with certain buttons that a character might have, like a low jab, or like a one or 2, and pretty much kind of go from there. For some of them, they might can get a combo off of it, things like that. Or even people who have movement stances, they have things like that. And now on to mids. Mids are a little bit slower than highs. and they cannot be ducked. So if you see somebody in a crouch state, a mid is probably your best item to use. And a lot of combo launchers are started at mid. And
That's where the meat and potatoes are at. Yeah.
yeah. So this one, it looks like it starts low, but it's actually a full mid, so you can block it. But for some people, it kind of will be like a go in low and it can hit on ground. Lows are pretty much used to stop people who are blocking. So like this, that's a really good poke for a lot of people, which you'll learn, or like pretty much something you just throw out to like hit people while they're like standing, or even when they're on the ground. The low hits, the low will hit.
Another thing too is highs can be parried. So if Nia were to punch me,
Oh, punch.
oops, you can get like situations like that where you can get parried and punished. And it varies from character to character.
What you do need to also realize that like with lows, they are very high risk. If you are blocking them,
Oops.
they are highly punishable.
Let me actually launch that. Like that. And then I get a full combo.
Yeah. So you have to be very careful with it. For some people, they can cancel certain lows. Xiaoyu can cancel her low, and then she can kind of go into things that are like other kind of like mids or highs from her back turn stance. So it's just kind of really how you decide to play it. But they can also low parry it. So like that is a low parry, and that people can get full combos off of it. They can't necessarily do a full thing, but it can pretty much work out that way.
Yeah.
And some characters even have like stances that automatically low parry. And as you can see here, Xiaoyu has a low state, and certain lows can be avoided by it. She can actually avoid many of lows,
Oh, oops.
but not necessarily all mids by doing this kind of stuff. So that's pretty much kind of the deal. And also there are things such as like special lows. Special lows and special mids kind of have special states to where like they might hit in certain kind of ways that trigger and add like maybe stun effects or things like that. It kind of depends on what the character is and what they do. So yeah. Let's see. A big thing for combos as well as just like overall like attack and defense. Make a mix of like your highs, make a mix of your mids, your lows, things like that. That way, you can confuse your opponent. Because as you can see, we're kind of just throwing out mids, lows, highs, just to kind of like get a feel of like overall attack and defense. And as you can see, once you do a right kind of punish and launch somebody, yeah, pretty much a full combo.
Yeah. It's very important to mix lows, highs, and mids because you don't want to get too predictable with these. Nor do you want to get too predictable with those. Or throwing out like your character's parry all the time. Spacing, all that jazz.
Yeah. So remember, different stances sometimes also have different moves to them, and different kinds of mids, lows, highs, everything in between. So just learn necessarily what to use in those cases, whether they be something for pressuring somebody or to launch them and get a full combo. Also, remember, Tekken is a 3D fighter, so it's not like our 2D fighters. So you're like we said, when you're in like a neutral state, you'll be blocking pretty much most of the time. And what you do is from there, you kind of like put your own pressure into them, do things like that, and kind of just go from there.
Yeah. We go over like the unique attacks.
Okay. Do you want to go over low parry? So we kind of talked about low parry a little bit.
There it is.
Like that. Yeah. You have to time it right. If you don't time it right, it will not work right. But a normal low parry will essentially look like, go ahead and go like that. So that's pretty much just how it is, and it'll lead them into like a state on their back that's pretty easy to kind of get them all started with.
So homing attacks are great if your opponent is sidestepping a lot and trying to get back out of your range. Most of them are pretty safe on block. So if I actually try to punish him for doing this after he does it, he can block and he's pretty safe. I can't launch it. I can't You know, I can't hit him with mids. He just got that. But it's good if, in case you want to stop somebody who's very antsy from constantly stepping. They're backdash and they push you forward a little bit. But if you whiff them, they can be dangerous. But yeah, most of them are mid too. And then you have power crushes. You guys might see this a lot, especially in lower ranks if people don't want to take pressure. It's this attack. They have armor on startup. And they can only be beaten by lows and throws. So if Nia were to do that again, like, he just won't be able to do it. But that's, of course, considering that you can react to it. If Nia tries to do it again and I throw, hers is really fast.
Yeah.
Whoops. So we gotta, it's hard to time. There it is.
There we go.
So when that happens, you guys see that pink flash, that purple flash? That basically means that after he grabbed me during that armor move, it's untechable. You cannot break the throw. It used to be if somebody hit you with a chain throw and you did that, every throw afterwards in a chain was guaranteed. This was a bug. This was not intended, but now they fixed that. So now only the first throw and the chain throw is guaranteed after that.
What we'll go over next is bounds and tornadoes. Bound is usually a term that you would hear in Tekken 7, and it's kind of passed on in Tekken 8 because a lot of characters don't necessarily have bound moves anymore. But there's a few still number that have bound moves, and it is represented by a red icon in the combos. Like when you looked at your move list. Also a good thing about our move list is that it does go ahead and give like details of like what is a bound move, what is a power crush, what is a homing attack, and things like that. So use that also to your advantage. So this move right here is a bound move.
Let me walk forward.
And what it does is it makes them bounce once they hit the ground, so it does leave time for more combos. And pretty much you just go ahead and you use it that way. And that leads you up to a full combo. So since not everybody can do a bound move, if they have it, you go ahead and you use that more so for the sake of movement. Would you like to explain tornado?
Yeah, so essentially what you guys will see with the tornado is how it'll work is it's used as a combo extender and can basically be used to continue the combo. So unlike bounds, which you only get one per combo, you can get tornadoes more than once. So essentially what you would do, oops, if I can get it, hold on. That little effect there where they're spinning out like that, that's a tornado. I aptly named because of the way your character is spinning. So if you wanted to see what an actual combo looked like with bounds and tornadoes, ideally, and of course we're going to use Dragunov because the man's wall carrying damage a little broken. This is what it looked like. And that's without me like using any crazy extenders or doing anything wild. That's a pretty easy combo to do.
Yeah. So again, Dragunov players, I look at y'all a funny way.
But some moves instantly bound your opponent as well. So for instance, if I wanted to do this, I'm sorry, wrong move. If I can remember it. Whoops. Yeah, here you go. So if I'm close enough, oh my God.
A few moments later.
So I think it's, there we go. That's the instant tornado. Some of the moves instantly tornado like that.
Okay.
9 times out of 10, it needs high crush too. And what high crush means is that essentially if somebody were to jab me, so if he's jabbing me constantly and I'm blocking and I know he's gonna do it, I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. And then you can see how this can turn into some crazy damage if you provided your character has the privilege. But yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much just how those work. So as we said before, sometimes bound can only work once in a combo, but you can sometimes tornado more than once, depending on the case of the matter.
And then you, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm fucking.
I was gonna say you also have counter hits, and so counter hits you probably see it, the blue sparks, the oh my god, that that looked like it really hurt. So if Nia's blocking and he oh god.
I had to give you head.
If Nia's blocking the first attack, right, like he's like, oh, okay, I already know, like that's a string, and then but he doesn't block the second hit, so I'm gonna do 2 attacks. Nia, block the first one, don't block the second one. So actually press on the second attack.
Okay.
That meaty hit right there, that explosion, let's go back to mid screen, is what's called a counter hit. So if he blocks the first one and tries to retaliate and presses on the second one, whoops, let me know you're good.
Yeah.
That'll happen and you can get a full combo extend and everything.
So guard breaks are going to be the next thing we talk about.
So for Steve, his guard break is usually done from this stance, which he can mainly activate by pressing up, back, up, back. Oh my god, up, back +3. And I'm thinking about it when I'm talking, I'm trying to move my hands. It's like, oh, I've done this move 1,000 times, but now it's so hard to say and pronounce. But this is called his this is new stance he's been given in Tekken 8. So for instance, his guard break attack, and most guard break attacks are gonna follow this, is a high guard break. So for instance, if I wanted to do it, it looks like this. And you can duck it, of course, to get around it. But if you stand block it, you get that glass shattering effect.
Our next part will be unblockables. Unblockables are kind of those tools that are like in our arsenal that I think every character has, but a lot of us are sometimes are like, I don't think I want to actually use that.
I was just trying to sound like my bad.
Oh no. But yeah, so unblockables are pretty much like moves for a lot of people that you cannot guard. You cannot guard them at all. You might be able to sidestep them depending on like how they work or how they focus on you as a character, but usually you can never block them. If you get hit by them, you will take a shitload of damage.
They're typically very slow too to mitigate this.
Going somewhere? Your luck is rough.
But I'm pretty sure Nina only has the one
Fight.
where it's like, yep. And that's a combo starter. So for instance, yeah, if you wanted to do this in a game, do this.
Almost half a chunk of health and more.
Halfway through a game, you're dead.
If you let that hit you and they can do it, yep. And yeah, some can be canceled. They did kind of change the process for it for some characters.
Oh, that's yeah. What, double tap back?
Double tap back. I think hers actually used to be down, but it might have been, and I'm thinking of that's probably the reason why.
Mainly, some people use them for style points if they know they got you, if they just want to, be like, oh yeah, this is how we're gonna end it, this is how we're gonna do it. Most of the time, these aren't very practical. They're used in a very either knowledge checky situation, or when they have a feeling you're just not gonna react because you're so scared you don't want to hit buttons. Next, we can go over throws, and then after throws, we'll be like to the states and stuff.
So throws are essentially a good bread and butter that a lot of people use that don't necessarily focus on. High attacks can pretty much stop them. It's a high attack, so you can essentially go ahead and duck them.
Yeah.
To not be caught in them, but also be very, very aware if characters sometimes have a low throw. There are certain characters that have low throws, so you got to be very careful with your crouches.
Also in Dragon Nova Beetle show. Another thing too is if you crouch to throw, you can most of the time launch.
Now, what you want to do is sometimes I know it's a little bit of like a really hard eye thing, but for breaking the throws, you want to look at like the arm placement. That is a 1 break. This is a 2 break.
So
you go Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so what makes this easier too is that if people are wondering like, well, it looks like both arms are coming out to me, you'll notice there's a little bit of emphasis on the arm that's coming out because the left arm is mainly the one going forward. If you look at the camera, her left arm is going forward and my left arm is going forward. But if we do a 2 throw, the right arm is coming out further than the left. This is just if you can get advanced with it, you've been playing for a while, you can just tell by looking. So this, keep in mind, the left throw, the left arm is broken with 1. And the right throw is broken with 2. If you see both arms coming out like, what is it, like this? Oops. Like that. Forgot it's up 4, 1 plus 2. Oh, yeah.
You gotta throw me now.
Oh. Yeesh. Not quick enough. I didn't look at it for a second. I was like, wait, what?
Isn't it past you?
But yeah, the reason why we say you don't want to really duck throws unless you have a read or something is because king throws are scary, right? So if Neo were to duck and I know he's gonna duck, I could literally just launch him. Mini combo right there. And that doesn't take too much execution to do. But he's also at risk of getting thrown if he crouches like this. For a crouch though.
Yep. Oh yeah. So actually, hold on. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, this too. What is it? I have to. There it is.
There you go. And I don't think you can take those.
I know there's a special input for some of them, but for the most part, not really. No.
Yeah.
Crouch throws are untechable. Ground throws, I'm not sure. If Nina were to chain throw me, like if Neo, if you do quarter circle 2 plus 4, quarter circle forward 2 plus 4.
Plus 4. Ooh, I forgot to see this.
Yeah, so it's basically on me to guess. But her breaks are normally like 1 or 2. And if she does it the other way, now it's like a different pattern I have to guess. And if you don't guess, that's some damage you're taking. I'm pretty sure you guys get the point. These chain throws here, for the most part for Nina's, it's 1 or 2. But for Kings, they might be 1, 2, 1 plus 2. And things like that. Like Giant Swing here is a 1 break. So if I were to do it, you would have to press 1. But you can tech roll this on landing. And for those who don't know what that means, it's just pressing a button the moment you land. So if you're struggling with the timing, you could literally just mash a button to do it. Another thing too is to keep in mind is some characters get unbreakable throws from certain moves in the game. So for instance, if Nia's not blocking and I hit him with this, that's unbreakable.
Yeah.
So some characters get special privilege like Dragonal's wall throw and King's wall throw, which again are unbreakable. So for instance, you guys might see this a lot. Which, if I haven't tornadoed you or bounded you, I'm getting access to egregious amounts of damage. Now we're on to universal states. And for those who don't know, the universal states of Tekken 8 are going to be like standing, which is what we're doing now, full crouch, a wall standing, which is this little area in between like standing and rising. It's a little finicky because it's like the same thing as like, oh, well, isn't this wall rising? It's like, yeah. So then there's instant wall running, which again, we went over beforehand with attacks like that. The jumping. Then you have back turn, which neither of us are playing back turn characters right now. I think June might have some back turn stuff. I'm not sure.
No.
Yeah, no. Then you have rage when, of course, your low health, stuff like that, you get access to different attacks. And then you have grounded. Different states give access to different moves. Some moves put you into different states. So for example, what do I mean by some moves being different in different states?
Fight.
So this is me pressing 2 while standing, right? And this is me pressing that same button out of crouch. Completely different things, completely different effects. Same thing for same thing here. We have the crouch jab, you know, just otherwise known as just checking, seeing if your pressure is real. A lot of harangue players, when they're mashing on you, don't know how to get out of it. If you don't know when to sidestep, you don't know when to block. 9 times out of 10 between strings, this might be your best thing to do because it's 10 frames. Don't worry so much about frame data right now. We'll be going over it. Just know this is one of the fastest things to do. Like if someone's constantly jabbing you, like if Nia were to sit here and jab me, I can duck and punch him like this. So you make sure you want to duck first because if you press down and 1 at the same time, you might get this and you're getting lit up. Certain characters having certain things out of different stances. So for Steve, we covered this before, right? But we didn't talk about how he's unable to block in this stance. So you're like, oh, he can't block. Why would I go in this stance? You know, from here, June can still hit me. But if I were to do something like, and then cancel into one of these, now I can block just fine. And he also has duck cancels. For those who don't know, Steve has different moves out of this stance. So for instance, when he's doing stuff like this, he has different things like that. But if you're going in, he has different moves from the stance, which people are like, oh my God, you know, this is scary. Different stuff like that. And of course, different access to his moves from flicker stance, peekaboo stance. Things like command grabs and knowledge checks. So it's very important to know what your options are, what the character's options are. And another high level thing with Steve is, if anyone's thinking about playing him, he has duck cancels. So for instance, when you see him like doing this, you might see a Steve go in, and here it's pretty easy to punish him, right? So if I'm going in like this and Nia hits me, right? But if I want to duck cancel, now all of a sudden I'm just fine. And now we're just back to the normal. And why duck cancel, you ask? So for instance, if I were to hit Nia with like a counter hit and go like this, that string would be guaranteed if I hit him with a counter hit. So if I'm ducking in like this, and you're like, oh my God, this is slow. It's if I duck cancel it, I get access to the moves like this now. Whereas if I do this on block, I'm super minus. If I get lucky and hit him, like, yeah, I get a launcher. But if he blocks that, I'm not safe. And depending on who you're fighting against, that can get really hectic really quickly. So it's just important to know like the importance of different states and different things like that. Like if Nia were to jump and I were to just randomly clip him, now you're in a combo because you're airborne and because you count as airborne. Things like knowing which strings put you into a stance. So for Steve, one of those is one of his new stance. And one of the ways he enters the stance is like, if you guys remember his toe crusher, now it puts him in a stance. So now it's a mix up. And like we discussed before, that's guaranteed if I guard break. Jillian has some crazy stuff too. Like if she's going in the crouch and she's trying to do a low and I'm expecting it, she can cancel it. Like that. And so now it's like, oh my God, I don't know if she's gonna do a low or mid or throw because she has a command throw from crouching. Which combos you. And it's just really crazy for her.
Beloved God, please, one press to that, people. I know it gets a little weird and confusing. One plus to it. That's the only way you're gonna save yourself.
But yeah, you have different moves from both standing, crouch, back turn, grounded, stuff like that. And speaking of grounded, now we can discuss getting off the ground. Which is what a lot of people struggle with in tech, and they're like, oh my God, I get up, I stand up, these Kazamas are launching me. Devil Jin for some reason just levitates off the floor. It's like, what do I do?
What do I do? What do I do? You get off that goddamn floor. That's what you do. You get off that goddamn floor.
I think I'll demonstrate what happens if you don't get off the ground, if you don't tech roll. Actually, either of us can do this. Yeah, so yeah, just knock me down and I don't tech roll and then just keep doing this. Quarter circle forward too. If you don't stand up, she can keep looping this. Same thing with Dragunov too. If I knock him down, he has this. He can just keep doing this if you don't stand up. You're like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna get on the ground, don't want to take damage, and then look, you stand up finally and you get hit with that. So what we mean by tech rolling is, if Nia were to launch you a down forward too, and I press the moment I can, that's a tech roll. That's me getting off the ground immediately. So that's me standing up the moment I can. like that. Do it one time. Yeah, okay.
Time up.
So what that basically means is pressing 1 or 2 while you're landing to roll away from the screen. And if you press 3 or 4, you'll roll towards the screen.
Round 2.
So if Nia knocks me up again, now I'm getting up this way because I'm pressing 3. And I get up that way when I press 1. The thing to remember is certain characters, depending on how you want to roll, if you just want to stand up. So for instance, after this command though, if Nia just stands up without blocking, oops, hold on. Let's try that one more time. If Nia just stands up without blocking, I can launch him for free. And then you're taking hella damage, right? So it's important to know how to get up. This is another thing too. Certain throws can be tech rolled out of. So if Nia throws me with that again, I'm just mashing a button, I'll stand up and I won't take as much damage. But if I'm by a wall and he throws me like that, there's no tech rolling off the wall.
Round 4.
So how standing up works is if Nia knocks me up, if I just press up, I'll stand up simply. And if I press back, I'll move backwards and then try to stand that way. So, and then that gives me a little bit of distance. Now, the things you guys are going to be seeing a lot is this get up, the kip up, which is 3+4 when you're on the floor. Hella unsafe on block, but if someone's constantly pressing into you, it's a nice way to interrupt momentum. Though it can be baited out, so keep that in mind.
Another one is forward 4, forward 1+2.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, do it again.
It's a forward 1+2.
Okay.
It's more so of the roll. So you do a roll first, and then you do it. There's also another something. I think it does push you on safe. I'm not completely sure.
I believe you're at the advantage if you do that one.
Okay. So it kind of just depends. But it is something to kind of close the gap, especially if they're throwing in like a lot of like mids. The rising up hop kick is actually really good if like you have an opponent that's using a lot of lows to get you, because they will have an evasiveness on lows on your body. So kind of like use that if you feel like somebody is going to be spamming lows while you're on the ground, unless it's like Nina's this way, then
Right.
you will actually get caught by that.
Another thing too is if you get knocked down, what most people forget is that these get up kicks are safe. So if I do the mid and he blocks and he tries to hit me afterwards, he can't really do so. And if he knocks me down again, if I do the same thing for the low, can't really do so. Good thing to remember about the 3+4 though, if his Nia knocks me up. And if I do that, I'm unsafe. You can bait it out. You can backdash a little bit before somebody does it as well. So Nia, knock me down again. And I'm going to do it. When I do it, try to backdash, okay?
Gotcha.
3, 2, 1. And then he can launch me like that. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Another thing too is if he knocks me down again, I press down back, I'll wake up blocking low. So some people might try to hit you with a low as you're standing up. You'll be able to wake up and block that low. What else?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, if you knock me down again?
Toe kicks. Yeah, toe
Yeah.
kicks.
Down 3. So if you hold down and press the left kick button, you do that toe kick. Same thing if we're down 4.
And it'll put you in an immediate roll after you do it. So if it goes off, you're honestly going to be, I think you will be safe, because it puts you in such a roll. That like they can't just zoom right into you to come get you after the fact of.
Be careful though, because the low kicks are low parryable. So if he knocks me down, he's like, oh, you're gonna do a toe kick, and he just holds down forward. Now I'm getting launched. I think that's really most of it, but just to review. Oh, go ahead, Nia.
Go ahead.
3+4 for the, oh, well, that's 3. The get up kick is safe, and the get up low kick is safe. But if you try to do the kip up, it's unsafe. you have the forward. Oh, sorry. I'll go again. If you hold forward when you land, you'll do the small kip up as well. You'll land right back up. But of course, you know, if you do it and you're not careful, you can get launched. But like that,
yeah, if they're too close on you.
yeah.
It's kind of like a way of saying don't come in too close because you might mess up your move.
So he enhances your moveset. For Nina, she gets extra bullets in her gun. So if Nia does back 3+4, what is it? Back 3 and 4, back 3+4 at the same time, into I think 4, 1+2. She gets those bullets, right? But if he activates that and does that in heat, now do it. He gets extra bullets and they do more damage on Chip as well. See how he uses up a lot of his bar? You can duck her bullets still, just so you do know. But if you get hit, that's guaranteed. And there's 2 ways to enter heat. There's by doing a heat engager, like this. Now I'm in heat and I just got so much gray life back. Or just by activating manually, like how you saw Nia do it earlier. Also, another thing too we'll go over is how to actually stop yourself from doing that attack when you're engaging heat, because you can do that.
Oh, actually, I did it earlier. So what you'll do is when you're going into rage, or not rage, into heat. I had Tekken 7 logic right in my brain at the moment. When you do your heat starter, what you'll do is you'll press back twice to do kind of like a resting animation, and sometimes that's actually the better thing to do, because, and I say this because for some people's heat engager or like their heat startup, what it could do is it can punish people, but it can also whiff. And so if you whiff, you get people can get a full combo on you if they see it in time.
So I think a good example to show like people how it can be great to use, because the heat starter gives you armor. But if somebody does a heat smash while you're trying to start your heat, it'll beat that out, and it'll typically, if it hits first, if they've already started it. What's up, Dr. DJ Q? Hope you're doing well, bro.
Round 1.
Would you consider rage art erasing ship health on hit a beginner skill or intermediate? That's more of just something that's like a universal thing. It's not really an intermediate or general thing. It's more of just like that's a universal thing that happens. So also to note, for a lot of characters, as we said, heat, as I did there, back twice was just the animation for it. And that was essentially the way to kind of control your heat animation and kind of go from there. For June, when she is in heat, she actually gains the ability to not lose health on her special moves, such as these. So she gets gray health, but she can heal it back with her stance.
Another thing too is if you grab me right now, all that gray health I have will be gone. Or majority of it anyway.
Yeah.
Grabs don't leave gray health. Rage arts don't leave gray health. In fact, they destroy gray health. And some characters have moves that'll just outright get rid of it as well, like Shaheen, Nina with certain throws and certain tricks like that. But if anybody is unaware of like how much heat you have, just remember it's that blue bar underneath your regular health bar. And using a heat smash, for example, will use up a majority of it, if not all of it. So if I were to just randomly do like heat smash Nia, my bar is gone. I blew the whole stack. Like I lost everything. The house, the kids, the wife. So you want to be careful when you're gambling. You don't immediately just want to heat smash either. It's like making an investment. You want to make sure you use it at some point in every round. But if you're just heat engaging and heat smashing afterwards, typically you're wrong.
Yep. For some people, learning about how to properly use your heat and also recover it, because some people do actually recover heat. It will let you know in like your move list if this move, if you do it or if you do certain actions, will recover them. I believe for certain characters, I think like Victor, he can get his back by doing one of his stances and hits. So it kind of works out that way.
Another thing too is that, like I said before, heat attacks, some of them, when you activate a mid combo, can change properties and stuff like that of certain moves. For instance, if I were to do one of these against Nia, if I were to actually space that out properly, I'd be able to splat them, and then that would lead into another combo. But that's why I see, like, Asuka has an install. You'll see how many numbers she has by the glowing arms. That's her buff. My bad.
No, you're right. So,
But that'll be an example of what that can do in heat. Here's what a combo with heat will look like. So I'm gonna launch Nia and show you guys. And this will just be traditionally what a traditional combo in Tekken could look like.
One. Fight.
So typically at a combo in Tekken, you have your launcher, your filler, your extender, which is the bound, and your ender. But when you add heat with that, it gets a little saucy. So like if I launch Nia like this, this is a great combo to end the round with, right? So for those who don't know, I did the heat activation, but manually. Then I did the one of my heat moves, which engages heat. So typically, if you use a move that engages heat like this, or this, when you're in heat, it'll give you a heat dash afterwards. And depending on where you use it in the combo, can give you a nice follow-up, but it uses the rest of your heat.
yeah. Everybody has their own kind of like different way of doing it. So what she can do now is trying to show off in like a combo of like really eliminating my health through through rage art. So go ahead.
Right, okay.
You're not getting away.
So he still has a little bit of gray health. It's not a lot currently, but it'll still show like what it's like for it to disappear.
Jesus, that did so much damage. God damn it.
The lower your health is, the stronger the rage arc is. Never forget that.
And then since he also has heat, he can go ahead and gain back his gray health, but I still won't be able to gain back any of mine.
Another thing too is certain attacks that are heat engagers also let you extend your combos. Or like dash like that. So for that move in heat becomes a combo launcher, a combo starter. So for instance, if I were to hit Nia with this, okay, it's engaged. It's like, okay, nothing too crazy. And then all of a sudden it's a launcher. So that's a good example.
Counter hit rage art, it does do more damage, but not necessarily eliminate more gray health. That's just what it does overall. So
Kind of just like a coincidence.
yeah.
So another thing too is like the big bad term in FGC everybody hates when they're first learning of a fighting game is frame data. I'm not gonna sit here and say you gotta know what frame data is for everybody, because not even every pro player knows what every frame data for every character in every situation.
Final.
Does it help? Absolutely. Is it a requirement to be somewhat good or even great at the game? No. There are certain pro players who have no idea what frame data is and are just gonna mash and do what they want regardless. But the important thing is to recognize or just have the foundation of what frame data is. So frame data is just how fast attacks come out, how fast your actions are and movement in the game and stuff like that. Easy example I can give is if you're playing Fortnite or any shooter, everybody knows switching to your secondary is faster than reloading your primary. If you can understand that, you understand how frame data works. One move and one thing is faster than the other. So for instance, if I were doing something like a jab, right? I'm +1. So for instance, if I'm just mashing it like this and Nia's trying to press, he has to duck because he won't be able to jab me back or do another high immediately because it's still my turn. And just that very concept is just like part of what frame data is.
Time up.
Plus, when I say +1, it means I get to act first. So that jab that I do, I'm +1. Unless he does something that crushes highs and immediately stops me from doing my next attack, it's my turn. He has to make a read to stop me from jabbing him again. Or just block. Because if he just mindlessly presses, that's free jabs. And I've done this in ranked games. I've done this to where the other person didn't understand it was my turn. Or they spam parry, they spam something else. And keep in mind, parrying still takes a certain amount of frames to do. And if it's my turn and you try to mash parry, you're not going to be able to do it all the time. And so a good way to demonstrate when you're plus and when you're minus is like using a jab versus using a launcher. A lot of people, they don't know, they see a string they don't know. They're like, oh, okay, it must be minus. I'm going to launch the person. And like, no. And we're going to keep this section brief. We're not going to go too far and too in-depth into it.
Because what we said is frame data is something that's honestly very, very hard for a lot of people.
Right.
Off rip, so we don't want it to feel like it needs to be something crazy.
Right. You guys saw how I tried to jab him back after getting hit? I can't. I couldn't, and I got grabbed for it. They power crushed me, stuff like that. Stuff like that's very important to keep in mind and be aware of. Let me see something. Check my notes again real quick. Yeah, so when we say minus and we say plus, plus means it's the other person's turn or your turn, and obviously if it's plus. So if I'm pressing this, it's my turn. That's why he got hit. He pressed. If I do a homing attack like this, I'm still plus. But if he blocks the homing attack and jabs afterwards, he's gonna beat me typically. See, I died because that homing attack, it's safe. And what we mean by a move is safe is that it's under 10 frames, meaning you can't punish it with a jab. So for instance, if I do that and he tries to jab me, he can't. As long as I block. But if I whiff it entirely, obviously he's gonna be able to hit me. And of course, if I don't hold block. But yeah. Like that. This would be a good example of this is why we say you want to hold back rather than neutral guard. Because after I do this, this is me neutral guarding. This is me holding back. Big difference. If you get lazy on your blocking, you'll be wondering like, oh, but I wasn't pressing anything. Why'd I get hit? Neutral blocking doesn't block everything. But if the frame is the same, like if him and I both jabbed at the same time, we probably won't be able to coordinate this. But if him and I jabbed at the same time, we'd both hit each other. So we could go over strings. For most strings in this game, only like around 2 to 3 hits are guaranteed. If you try to do any more after that, the opponent can like duck or block or whiff punish you. Like, oops. Oops. I have to do that so we get extra round. Yeah. But so for instance, these strings, right? So I have this string with Nina. Right. So what ends up happening with this string, if Nia is just standing here and he goes to low block, if he blocks nothing else but he's holding down this low block, he can block that. But let's say he gets hit, so I'll hit him and then just try to low block, okay? You should still be able to block that low. Yeah, if he holds down back, he should be able to still block it. See how I got hit by the first one, but he was still able to hold down back and block the follow-ups? That's what we mean. And same thing for this string. If I hit him with the first couple of hits, not that one. I don't know about that one, but the other one is not guaranteed because the other one is the launcher.
What's done is done.
Just because someone's hitting you doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing a true combo.
Yeah.
But mainly, you have jailing strings as well, right? So we initially mentioned how if you're pressing like 1, 2, like not one, but like 1, and people can duck in between this, right? I'm gonna press 1, 2, and Nia's gonna be able to block, but he's not gonna be able to duck the second hit. He has to duck in between. But if he's holding duck while those first 2 jabs hit, it does what's called jailing. And what jailing means, basically, you know, jail, you're not going anywhere, you're stuck. You're stuck there. So until those 2 hits are done, you cannot duck. You're stuck blocking high. Next is the wall system. I think we'll just have to get out of using these characters. So like, I guess we'll just like play it out, I suppose.
But yeah, so stage hazards and walls.
We should pick that one with the explosion, yeah.
Yup. Let me see. So there are certain stages that have stage hazards, whether it could be broken walls or it can be explosive walls. What we're gonna do is we're gonna show an explosive wall one, and then we'll actually show a breakable wall. That way you kind of understand a little bit more so about like carry potential, because with breaking walls, you have a stronger chance of doing a stronger wall carry depending on who your character is. But for explosive walls, it can just be like super heavy damage. So if you don't mind, Max.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, you gotta do the other spot, yeah. Oh, there we go.
And then from that, you can either do, like, let's say you do a full combo that leads to the wall.
Yeah.
Only this time.
I should be able to show him this, yeah. Back up towards the middle. All right. Whoops. Okay, here we go. Where's demonstrators ever? All right, so yeah, just walk up to me, just to give him an idea how far the carry could be. Oh yeah, so just walk. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because Nina can also do it with her guns. Certain characters have that privilege where they're like, oh yeah, I have this one thing, and the gray life right here, just to show you how much will disappear.
No.
All of it.
I don't want to lose it.
All of it. But yeah, splat, continue to combo.
And then if I actually got that, oh,
Yeah, I stood up and walked into it once I saw you do it, yeah. So you'll see all the gray life that's about to disappear.
And then voila, he has that much left.
Yeah.
Literally nothing. Literally nothing.
So a good thing to be aware of with the wall is that you have a limited amount of hits before your character starts slumping. So let's go to the wall right here. So for instance, if I splat Nia against the wall like this,
You're finished.
you see how fast he starts slumping after the third hit? If you get a regular wall splat, you have 3 hits before the person starts slumping. Characters like Law can get up to 5 because of how fast their strings are. But if Nia also splats me against the wall, he gets a high wall splat, which means he gets even more hits. And also June's strings they hit hard. Really, when you're first hopping in, if you're like having a sensory overload, like we said, we'll be giving you guys links to videos and stuff, so you can go back and look at it, or you can go back and look at this VOD as well. I'll try and cut this down to make it more manageable and upload it as a video on the channel, just to give you guys easier access to look at certain things. But all in all, for everything being said, regardless of skill level, regardless if you're new to the game or not, if you're wondering like who you want to play, how you want to play, you don't necessarily have to play Nina, you don't have to play June, you don't have to play anybody you saw us play. Play the character you think is cool. Don't focus on winning immediately. Play the character you think is cool. Focus on having fun with the game you spend money on. That is first and foremost the #1 thing, regardless.
You paid $70 for this game. 70. You better enjoy it. You better enjoy it.
Thank you so much for the follow.